How can you improve the 1 million damage level 22 build? It's actually simple, you just make it deal 2 million damage. Welcome back guys to the new improved level 22 build for 2023, which deals up to 2 million damage, kicking those Spartans right in their asses. This has already been one of the most overpowered builds, with dealing over hundreds of thousands of damage early on with just your simple normal attacks. However, we will make it much better and much more durable. We will drop the fiddly mechanics of the Typhoon's Axe and we will replace it with over 440% headshot damage. We will give it a juicy 50% crit chance that will turn every second hit in an absolute deadly killing strike. We will also give it a juicy 250% critical damage, and armor penetration will make sure that we deal our damage every time. In fact, armor penetration will give us even more damage than the Typhoon's Axe, and it will make sure that we deal this damage every time without having to use some stupid activation or fire attacks. I've massively reduced the number of Helix items, and there will also be a free version included in this video. But let's check out the damage values. The light attack will deal over 30,000 damage, the heavy attack will deal over 40,000 damage, the charged heavy will give you 135,000, and Ring of Chaos will deal the same as the heavy attack with 40,000 damage, Fury of the Bloodline will give you a juicy 200,000, and Overpower will deal over 400,000 damage. However, when you hit Sleeping Polemarchs or in general Polemarchs from behind, you can get over 4 times the damage, with over 2 million damage from an Overpower or even 700,000 damage just from a charged heavy attack. Your range attacks will also get a massive damage boost from the increased headshot damage, with over 200,000 damage for the devastating shot and 250,000 damage for the predator shot. Of course, you will be on top of the food chain in assassination damage as well. You will be able to assassinate every living thing in Greece, even snakes and mercenaries, and Alpinor will also die in a single hit. Of course, more damage also means a bit of more preparation we have to do here. We have to complete the whole Phidea story to get the armor penetration engraving. This questline will only be available when you already completed the Symposium questline in Athens, and if you help Phidias escape from Athens, then he will spawn in Olympia, giving you a new quest to collect 4 symbols from 4 statues across Greece. This quest has a level 40 requirement, but it doesn't require you to kill any enemies. It only requires you to travel across the map to collect those 4 symbols from those 4 statues. The only thing of all this endeavor that might be a challenge is, after collecting those 4 symbols, you have to go to the stronghold in Lesbos. There are high level cultist enemies, but you don't have to kill any of these. You can just whistle, lure them away and sneak in your way to the riddle room. In the riddle room, just press the buttons in the right combination and that will unlock the secret door for the Atlantean Blade. We can't use the Atlantean Blade itself, but we will use the unlocked engraving for our build. Of course, you also have to go to Corfu Island to collect some really cool stuff. There's a purple quest marker located in Kefalonia that will be available as soon as you have talked to Stentor in Megaris. Just ignore the warnings, because there will be little to no spoiler anyway when you do that, and especially if you only collect your clothes from the cave and just don't continue to do any quest. We just have to do that to unlock the rest of the island. And that is needed to collect the Ostrakars and a very specific weapon. The first Ostrakar is located in this bandit camp. It is called the Captain and the Cyclops, and the solution for that is in Alienos village at the pot. You should also go to the pirate warehouse in the big city on Corfu Island and collect the second side bow, which is a really nice replacement in case you don't have the bighorn bow. Also, don't forget to collect the champion Ostrakar from the Collidy farm and collect the solution in the northeastern part of the map. If you're done with that, you can just fast travel back to Greece by using the Atlas menu in your map, and you can of course also come back every time you want to finish all the quests on Corfu Island. But for this build, that's everything you need to do. The second sight you get from this island is actually a really incredible bow. It increases your headshot damage by an additional 200%. It is the second best bow after the bighorn bow, so if you don't have the bighorn bow, you can safely use this one. If you get all these engravings in your build, the 100% all damage but minus 100% resistances, plus 100% headshot damage, and even the plus 200% headshot damage from the second sight, you will have over 440% headshot damage, which will be totally crazy. Of course, don't forget to get all the mandatory abilities, because these are the low-hanging fruits in your build and you can get a huge amount of bonuses by just getting the right abilities. And if you're having trouble to survive with this build, then don't forget that you can always pull out your torch to heal yourself completely for free without having to use second wind at all. Simply pull out your torch and switch back to your weapon. However, this only works at 25% health. Another really good method that might really help you out is using Battle Cry, because Battle Cry will make you completely invincible as long as it is active. So simply activate it in battle and then you don't have to worry about any enemy hitting you. You can take as many hits as you want to and simply kill off everyone. There's also a complete collection guide for additional Ostrakars and tombs and ability points you have to collect to make this build possible and deal the same damage as it is shown. You will find this guide at the end of this video. But now let's first check out the build. Please be aware that I will show you many different variations, but the items I have currently in place and that I will leave in place are the recommended variant to make this build. As early as level 22 you can get over 8000 warrior damage and over 45,000 assassin damage very easily. This is done with the Bighorn Bow, because the Bighorn Bow multiplies all your warrior damage by a factor of 1.6 by adding all its 500 DPS to your left melee weapon, and it will also use the same 8200 DPS when you shoot your arrows. If you use your free 200 Helix credits, you can get the Bighorn Bow for free from the shop. However, if you already used your credits, then you can simply use the second sight as a replacement. The second sight has an additional 200% headshot damage, but it also reduces your warrior and assassin damage a bit. This bow can be found from the pirate warehouse in Corfu Island. While the second sight will give you around the same hunter damage, it will also only give you around 4000 warrior damage. So the Bighorn Bow is by far the much better item, and I definitely recommend you to get it and use it in every build. The first melee weapon for this build is Hater's Harper, which is a perfect epic sword with warrior damage, critical damage and damage swords, and here we will engrave the elusive armor penetration, for which you have to do the Phidias quest, which I explained earlier in this video. The sword itself can be obtained from the Friend in Need quest in Attica. Make sure you lie to Hater to keep the sword. For the second sword you can use the Sword of Axon, which has warrior damage, damage swords and fire damage, and here you can engrave the 100% damage but health capped to 25% from the Falx of Olympus. The Falx of Olympus and this engraving in general can be looted from an underwater location north of Terra Island, which is also shown in the collection guide. The sword itself can be looted at any time from a chest in the Parthenon in Athens. Instead of the Sword of Axon, you can of course also go for the Typhon's Axe, but the Typhon's Axe is really fiddly to use. You actually have to activate your Flaming Attacks ability and wait for a whole cycle for the 200% critical damage to become active, and it wears off within 5 or 10 seconds if you don't make continuous flaming attacks. So I really don't recommend to get this weapon. You will get the 2 million damage hit with the Typhon's Axe only, but if you use 2 epic swords with armor penetration, you will get the same damage, but just much more consistently. On the Bighorn Bow we will engrave the 10% crit chance but minus 50% critical damage. This engraving is from the Talon Dagger, and the Talon Dagger is the Helix Store weapon. So if you want to get this engraving, you have to buy the Talon Dagger from the Helix Store. So if you can't get the Bighorn Bow or the Talon Dagger engraving, you can also simply use the second sight or the engravings from the second sight. Both of the engravings, the 200% headshot damage and 20% damage with devastating shot, will also work extremely well when you use them on the Bighorn Bow. However, you will only be left with 40% crit chance if you don't use the 10% crit chance engraving. So for the best build experience, I really recommend you to get the Bighorn Bow of course, and then also use the Talon Dagger engraving for the additional 10% crit chance. For the armor we will use a complete Nemean Lion set, but I will also show you a replacement which is completely for free as well. On the headgear you should engrave the 10% crit chance at full health, and on the bracers we will use the 100% headshot damage but 50% increased adrenaline consumption. This engraving can be collected from the bandit camp on Corfu Island, and the solution for that is in Alieus village when you loot the pot. On the Nemean Lion's belt we will use another engraving from Corfu Island, the plus 100% all damage but minus 100% resistances. This engraving can be collected from Collidi Farm north of Corfu Island, and the solution for that is in the northeastern spot of the map. On the torso we will engrave another 10% critical damage, and on the legs we will engrave another 50% critical damage while full health. So by using the Nemean Lion set, we will achieve the total stats of 415% warrior damage, 340% assassin damage, we have 240% headshot damage, which can be further increased either by using the second sight or by using the second sight engraving on the bighorn bow. Then you will be able to get over 440% headshot damage, but even 240% is more than enough and you will obliterate anything anyway. We also have 51% crit chance and 250% critical damage. You would of course be able to get over 450% critical damage if you use a temporary boost from the axe, which I already explained is really fiddly to use and not recommended. If you want to make the 100% free variant instead, then you should actually not change anything on the swords. Simply change the engraving on the bighorn bow to be 100% headshot damage but increased adrenaline consumption, and of course if you can't get the bighorn bow you could also use the second sight instead. For the headgear you should use Ezio's Roman hood and engrave the 10% crit chance while full health. The bracers should also be from Ezio's set, here you engrave 50% critical damage while full health. For the belt you should use a Northern Traveler's belt, which you also engrave with 50% additional critical damage while full health. Then you should try to get an epic breastplate with warrior damage, critical damage and assassin or all damage. Here you engrave the Corfu engraving with 100% damage but minus 100% resistances. And last but not least, you use the Northern Traveler's boots and engrave another 10% crit chance. This build will only have 41% critical chance and 225% critical damage, but will still be almost as good as the other one. To get all the necessary points to make this build, you also have to collect a couple of points from tombs, which is also shown in the collection guide at the end of this video. Of course you should go for 6th sense because that slows down time and allows you to easily double your hunter damage and also easily assassinate all your targets. Also unlock the poison or fire arrows and of course pick the ones you prefer. Then definitely recommend to get Devastating Shot, and Archery Master is really recommended to refill your adrenaline. Also, Charged Heavy Attack is really strong, especially with swords. Weapons Master will increase your warrior damage and your crit chance. You can go for the Flaming Attacks and the Fire Mastery to get an additional 40% fire damage, but it is not really needed. You can actually go for Overpower and rather use these points on Battle Cry instead. If you have Furious the Bloodline, you can use Furious the Bloodline. Ring of Chaos is not really recommended because it is rather weak. Don't forget Second Wind, also get the Shadow Assassin of course, the Rush Assassination and Stealth Master, and you can actually use Hero Strike as a replacement if you don't have Furious the Bloodline. If you now need a perfect route to collect all the stuff that is required by this build, then definitely use this route. You will start at Kefalonia with the Melisani caves. There's a riddle, you can collect this tablet and the solution is at the statue in that bottomless lake. Then after that you will travel to Megaris, and in Megaris there's another Ostraka location. The riddle is on the farm of Tripodiscos and the solution for that is at the ships at the dock, right at this spot. Don't forget to collect the ability point in the Tomb of Alcatus when you are in Megaris, and also don't forget to activate the fast travel point because I usually forget this one. After that fast travel to Delphi, activate the fast travel point of the Temple of Apollo, and then close by there's the Tomb of the First Pythia. Also solve this tomb to get another ability point and then fast travel back to Megaris. Then you can simply go northward to activate the abandoned Watchtower fast travel point, and south of that Watchtower is the Tomb of Eteocles for another ability point. Then head all the way north to the Katmayat fast travel point in Thebes, collect the Ostraka from the leader house in Thebes, you have to sneak in there because there are high level enemies, and then collect the solution here at the bridge near Thebes. That is a crit chance at full health Ostraka, so it is really important. After that you should visit that shipwreck for another Ostraka, and the solution will be in the port of Piraeus or in the court, the smelling fish here on the shelf. While you are doing this, you can also loot the Mykean tomb of Ajax on the island of Salamis, and then you should go to Corinthia, activate the fast travel point on the temple, and then close by there's a sacred cave. There you will find another Ostraka riddle. The solution for that riddle is here on the tongue of that statue. Just go to that statue, press A on the tongue and you solve it. There's also another tomb close by, which is Agamemnon's tomb. So if you need more points you can definitely get this, and then go to the Temple of Poseidon in Argolis. There's also Phaedon's tomb, very easy to solve. Go to Elykia's Peak then next, and also do the Waterfall of Styx for another ability point, and then head all the way down to Olympia. Don't forget to activate the fast travel point on the Temple of Zeus, and then go to that waterfall, the Spring of Piera. The Ostraka of that location is actually in the cave nearby, and the solution will be on top of the hill north of Olympia. Go here to the left wing of that statue to solve it. There's also a very easy tomb nearby, which is the smallest in the entire game. After you got that point, fast travel back to Ilikia's peak, and then you have to ride down with your horse all the way down to Laconia to Paidiscos camp. In Paidiscos camp there's another Ostraka riddle. Get also the Taygetos overlook, and the riddle solution is at the top of Mount Taygetos. Press A at the sword and you solve it. Then after that you can fast travel back to either Athens or to another island where you have a port, because you will need your ship from now on. Sail with your ship to that location north of Thera. In that location you will find the Falx of Olympus in a chest underwater. Loot this weapon to get the 100% damage but health capped to 25%. After that, go to Naxos. There's another Ostraka riddle in the Naxos quarry, and the solution for that can be found on top of the arch of the unfinished temple near the beach. The next stop will be on Chios, so you have to travel all the way to the north with your ship to get to that ship dock here. There's a tomb very close nearby to that ship dock, so I really encourage you to solve that tomb for another ability point, and then you have to sneak in to the Anavatos ruin. Go to the back side of the ruin and only collect the Ostraka riddle. The solution for that can be found in Angelos cave here at the smashed ceramic pots in the middle of that cave. And last but not least we will travel to Lesbos. There's another Ostraka riddle, the last one we have to collect in the Alkidas fort. Also sneak in there because there are high level enemies, so don't make any alert, just collect the riddle and then simply solve it by diving at the broken bridge. Now you finally collected all the 5 Ostrakas for crit chance at full health and for crit damage at full health. That's everything you basically need in this game. If you still need more ability points, you can of course also go for the Tomb of Orpheus or solve any of the other tombs. There are 22 in total in the base game, and a lot of them were not close to that route. I really hope you like this new build, it's absolutely awesome. Please don't forget to subscribe, leave me a like, and see you next time.